Hello everyone. So in this video, I would like to show you how to write the equation of a perpendicular bisector given a segment. So a couple of things in this process. First, we're going to be dealing with a perpendicular bisector. So if we think about what a perpendicular bisector is, there are two main things. The first, perpendicular. So when we write the equation of something that's perpendicular, we know that the slopes have to be opposite reciprocals. The second piece of this is that it is a bisector. So a bisector goes right through the middle of a segment. And in this case, that means we're going to be going through the midpoint of the segment that we're given. So using that information, we should be able to write the equation of a line that goes through the middle of the segment and is perpendicular to the one we're given. So let's take a look at an example, talk through that process, and see what we end up with. So the example I have, write the equation of the perpendicular bisector to the segment PQ, and then the points here we have P is -6, -1, and Q is 2, -5. Let's start with the slope. So if I'm going to find the opposite reciprocal slope, I need to find the slope of PQ first. So our slope formula, we subtract the y values in the numerator, and we subtract the x values in the denominator. This is our rise over run. So let's see what we get. And one thing that might help is labeling our points. So I'm going to say P is x1, y1, and then I'll say my point Q is going to be my x2, y2. Then plugging those into my slope formula, let's see what we get. So we have -5 minus a -1, which turns into +1. And in the denominator, my two x values, we have 2 minus a -6, so that turns into +6. And simplifying, we have -4 over 8, which simplifies to a slope of -1/2. Now that's the slope of PQ. For my perpendicular bisector, I want the slope that is the opposite reciprocal to this. So my perpendicular slope, we flip the fraction, we change the sign, so my perpendicular slope is going to be +2. That will be the slope that I want to use to write the equation of my line. Now the second thing we need is I need to know the middle of this segment. I need to know the midpoint. So our midpoint formula, this is the average of the coordinates. So we take our two x values, we add them together and divide by 2. We take our two y values, add those together and divide by 2. And again, with some substitution, plugging in what we have, the two x values, -6 plus 2, and we'll divide that by 2. And the two y values, we have -1 plus a -5, and we're going to divide by 2. And simplifying here, -6 plus 2 is going to be -4. And for the y values, -1 minus 5 is -6. So the midpoint of our segment, we end up with -2, -3. And now these are the two pieces of information we want to use. We want to use our perpendicular slope, and we want to use the midpoint, right? Whenever we're writing the equation of a line, we need two things. We need a point, we need a slope. And we just found those pieces of information that we want to use. So let me just rewrite those over here. So we want to use our perpendicular slope, which is +2, and we want it to go through the midpoint, which is -2, -3. And now let's write the equation of a line. I'm going to use point slope form, and that looks like this. Y minus y1 is equal to the slope times x minus x1. You could use slope intercept form, y equals mx plus b. You could use that as well. You would just have to go through the process and solve for that y-intercept. But if I plug in what I have, y minus a -3 is going to be y plus 3. My slope is +2, and then we have x minus a -2, which turns into x plus 2. There's our equation in point slope form. And why don't we just rewrite this in slope-intercept form so we can see what that looks like. So to do that, we need to isolate y. And the first step is distributing the 2. So 2x plus 4. And then subtracting 3 from both sides. We are going to end up with the equation y is equal to 2x plus 1. And now this is the line that goes right through the middle of PQ, and it is also perpendicular to the segment PQ. If we compare this to the graph of this, we can see our endpoints P and Q. The middle of the segment is the point -2, -3. And then to have it be perpendicular, we have our slope of +2. So our line going right through the middle, forming a right angle with the segment PQ, is this equation y is equal to 2x plus 1.